All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unraveling a deeply chilling case. It starts with a Valentine's Week Tinder date and, tragically, ends in a horrific, dismembered mystery. We're looking at the story of Nancy Howery and how a seemingly normal search for connection spiraled into absolute darkness.
We're going to kick off our investigation with these incredibly eerie words spoken in a police interrogation room. Now, these aren't the words of a victim. No, this is the chilling defense of a suspect. And honestly, it sets a really dark tone for the tangled web of deception we're about to untangle.
Section 1. A mother vanishes. To understand how we actually got to that tense interrogation room, we need to go back to the beginning. We're looking at the sudden disappearance of a 44-year-old mother of two. On Tuesday, February 14th, Nancy sent a final text message to her kids. But then, on Wednesday, she just fails to pick them up from school. And when she missed a second pickup on Thursday, well, that was completely out of character. Alarm bells started ringing, and by Saturday the 18th, her ex-husband Todd officially filed a missing persons report.
But almost immediately, investigators hit a wall. Her ex-husband essentially told police, "Look, Nancy has a lot of secrets. She keeps secrets." And wow, he wasn't kidding. Detectives quickly learned Nancy's life was pretty turbulent right then. She was struggling with a history of alcohol abuse, a looming apartment eviction, a legal dispute with her bank, and get this, a staggering $60,000 debt owed to that very same ex-husband. So right out of the gate, these secrets cast a massive net over the investigation.
Section 2. A tangled web of suspects.
Detectives were suddenly staring down a pretty complex cast of characters. I mean, they had to ask, did she run away from her mounting problems, or did someone harm her? First up, you've got Todd, the ex-husband who's out 60 grand. Then there's Matthew, an ex-boyfriend with a history of violence who literally broke into her house before. And finally, you have Daniel Stearns, a 32-year-old military veteran with PTSD she just met on Tinder. Detectives really had to weave through these angry exes to finally zero in on this new guy from the dating app.
And here is where the case totally pivots. When police first went to Daniel's parents' house to talk to him, he played it cool. He claimed that it had been, quote, weeks since they'd even spoken. Well, modern detective work proved that was a massive lie. Digital evidence showed Nancy's abandoned vehicle and her phone's last known ping were located right near Daniel's local gun range down in Palm Bay.
Which brings us to Section 3, closing the net. With his story falling apart, the game-over agents from the Brevard County Sheriff's Office swooped in. They threw around-the-clock surveillance on him because they absolutely knew he was hiding something. Tension just spiked over 3 days in March. On the 6th, they question him again, and even his own mother tells the cops he's acting nervous. On the 8th, they tail him to this massive, undeveloped area locals call the compound. And finally, on the 9th, agents hear him digging in the woods, and they literally detain the guy while he's washing out a bucket at a nearby canal.
Moving on to Section 4, Interrogation and Confession.
So they bring the 32-year-old veteran in for questioning, and he quickly realizes he is totally cornered. The cops have the pieces. So Daniel tries to spin this bizarre narrative of self-defense. He claims he was teaching Nancy to shoot at the compound, she randomly tried to steal his gun, and he had no choice but to shoot her in the head. But when detectives ask the most obvious question in the world, why didn't you just call 911? He gives this wild excuse. He says, I didn't trust the law with that situation. I've seen the horrors of civil forfeiture. Yeah, he used a civil forfeiture loophole as an excuse for not calling an ambulance. But, as you can probably guess, that self-defense claim was instantly shattered by his own digital footprint. He's sitting there claiming she ambushed him, right? Well, investigators pulled a text message Daniel sent to Nancy back in September 2022. It read, point blank, I'm going to make you suffer, you will suffer. Boom. That completely dismantles any idea that he was just some helpless victim of an ambush.
Section 5. The gruesome cover-up.
Honestly, the most chilling part of this explainer isn't just the murder. It's the calculated, terrifying lengths he went to afterwards. His Google search history literally reads like a horror movie script. At 3:30 a.m., the exact day of the murder, he's searching for uncensored videos, murders, executions. And the days following, he's looking up compound Florida crime and buckshot wounds on humans. And maybe the creepiest one of all, what does it mean when I see a vulture?
And that vulture search, that brings us to the horrific reality of what he actually did. Step by step, the procedure is grim. Because he left Nancy's body exposed in the woods for 5 days, vultures naturally started circling. So he returns, buries her decayed remains in the dirt, but then decides that's not enough. He actually unearths her body again days later, uses lighter fluid to burn the remains at a makeshift cremation, and then transports the ashes in a bucket to dump in a canal. Unbelievable.
But here's the thing about meticulous cover-ups. You can't outsmart the dogs. Human remains detection dogs easily track the scent of decomposition. They hit on the bed of Daniel's truck and they follow drag marks right down to the water's edge at the canal bank. Right there in the loose dirt, investigators found burned bone fragments, a human tooth, and part of a skull.
Which leads us to Section 6, Justice for Nancy.
Now, amidst all those scattered ashes, investigators needed just one thing, a positive ID to close this case, and they found it. A single finger with a pink fingernail allowed them to pull prints and confirm it was Nancy. But if you're sitting there wondering if Daniel felt even a shred of guilt about taking a mother away from her kids, listen to this. On a recorded video call with a friend shortly after his arrest, he casually brushed it off saying, "Yeah, being in infantry, yeah, we got to train to kill. I mean, that's just that, man." Just a complete, terrifying absence of remorse.
But justice did come. Daniel Stearns was found guilty on multiple charges. He was sentenced to life in prison for the murder, absolutely. But the judge also slapped an additional 44 years onto his sentence, specifically for the horrific abuse of her body and for trying to destroy the evidence.
So he's currently sitting behind bars serving his life sentence. But, you know, the legal system grinds on. In December 2025, Daniel actually filed an appeal against his convictions, meaning this incredibly dark chapter does legally linger.
As we wrap up this explainer, it really forces us to take a hard look at the hidden dangers of online dating. The story of Nancy Howery is just a devastating reminder of how a completely normal search for human connection ended in unspeakable tragedy. It really makes you wonder, what dark secrets are hiding behind the next digital match? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and be sure to stay tuned for our next deep dive.